Democracy is truly one of the best systems of government ever created. A system where every citizen counts, where everyone can participate, where freedom, choice, happiness, and equality lie at the heart of what makes society work. But the way in which democracy works relies upon a series of intricate, complex systems developed to provide fairness, protection, and justice for all. The jury system is one of those crucial systems.
Do you solemnly swear that you shall honestly and truthfully answer all questions put to you by court or counsel, touching upon your qualifications to serve as a juror in this case, as you shall answer unto God?
The jury system has evolved from centuries of legal tradition as the fairest way to resolve cases when parties cannot find their own resolution. Imagine your loved ones, friends, or family members sitting as defendants in these courtrooms. What would you want for them? You would want a fair and impartial jury.
Juror number 10, is this your verdict?
Yes, ma'am.
A process where cases are decided solely on the facts as presented to the jury. It's a heavy responsibility and one that you are about to embark upon. You could be on the next jury for the Cuyahoga County Court of Common Pleas. Your vote could be the ultimate decider in the resolution of a civil or criminal case, or fate could decide that you won't actually get to serve during a trial. But either way, you're here today to do your duty as an American citizen, to be a critical part of the judicial process. You could hold the fate of someone in your hands.
Based on that, she will be guilty.
Still not convinced.
To rule based on facts and by the law, to be fair and impartial, just as you would want for your loved ones. The jury system isn't always easy to understand, but one thing we know for sure, without citizens like you, our entire system of justice would struggle.
Thank you for voting. You're here because you're voters. We draw our jurors from the ranks of the registered voters. So by voting, you participate in your democracy.
You are a critical element in the American justice system.
Without jurors, certainly the justice system would not work. Without the jurors, we would not be able to resolve cases in an efficient manner, in a fair manner. And they have trust in the system, then they will come to courts to resolve their differences so that everyone's rights are protected regardless of who you are.
The jury system requires the community to attend to the affairs of their fellow citizens. And that really folds into the fabric of where we live. They come down here to interact with their government in a very direct way. Their value isn't just on a particular case, their value is in setting the tone for what happens in our community.
The juror is a critical element in the justice system. Your presence reinforces the ultimate step in the resolution of a case. Centuries of tradition are behind us, proving that the jury system really works. It's the best and fairest way to resolve disputes. In fact, it's the ultimate step.
Do you understand that you have the right to a trial, either a jury trial or a trial to this court?
How you got here this morning is also steeped in tradition. Historically, chosen by a random drawing of names, the computerized system that brought you here today bears little resemblance to the jury wheel used until the late 20th century. When you have a moment, take a look at the 6-foot wooden wheel on display in the lobby of the Justice Center. First used in 1931, it's carved with symbols depicting the judicial system. And while it may be a relic from the past, it serves to remind us of the tradition behind jury service. This is how jurors used to be chosen.
We get information from the Board of Elections. They randomly select a number of people from the voter registration lists. And then when they come in on the day selected, there's another random draw that is done at that point. And those jurors who are randomly selected then go up to the courtrooms.
Jurors are selected from the voters list in Cuyahoga County. And we use those lists because those are the most dependable. People who are civic-minded usually vote, and we find that is a pretty good list to work from. They're summoned to appear on a Monday or Wednesday. There may be some reasons you don't have to serve. There are certain exemptions, but you can always call and check with the jury commission to find out what those are. And you will congregate on the 4th floor and be called up to a courtroom as needed.
The day after the drawing, summonses and questionnaires are mailed 30 days in advance to the people chosen by the computer. And unless someone has a legitimate excuse, those people will report to the Justice Center in downtown Cleveland. There, jury bailiffs sign in prospective jurors on their first morning starting at 8 a.m. This process goes on all year long.
I think jurors are probably reluctant at first. They're unsure about what to expect. I tell them we invite them, but we send them a summons, and they're pretty intimidated by it, and they're also nervous about whether or not they can fit jury duty into their schedules. And so I think the first thing that jurors feel is some apprehension.
Some people are excited because they've never been called before. Then some people are apprehensive because it's an experience that's kind of unknown to them and they're kind of scared of it. And then you have people who are busy with their schedules, busy with their lives, have other things going on and just don't want to be bothered or think they don't want to be bothered. But generally you see those kind of attitudes cave because they know that their civic duty is important and that their contribution is going to be great to us as a society.
No, it's a good experience, that's all I can say, that this is a very good learning experience, at least for me, it has been so far.
Everyone is able to serve. If you are language limited, we will provide an interpreter for you so you can participate in jury duty. If you are deaf, we will provide you with a deaf interpreter, or we will provide you with a screen so that you can participate effectively in jury duty. So we want everybody to participate. It's not just for the well-to-do, and it's not just for those who have nothing to do. It's for everyone, and we really welcome the entire community.
So, here we are. What happens now? Well, the first step might be one of the most misunderstood parts of the entire experience. On the days you will serve, be prepared for idle time. You may want to bring a book and enjoy the quiet room. We also have Wi-Fi for those of you with computers and other electronic devices. From time to time, there may even be presentations you may want to take advantage of. But while you're waiting, there is a beehive of activity taking place in many parts of the building. Even as you watch this video, conferences are going on in an attempt to resolve cases without the need for a jury trial. These conferences usually involve only lawyers, but at times may include the litigants. Your very presence in this building is a forceful argument for the parties involved to settle the case before a jury trial takes place. You are a persuasive entity to those involved. Even though it may seem like you're not being utilized, you are never wasting time by being here.
Once a lawyer is aware and a defendant and a plaintiff is aware, a jury is ready and the court's going to call that jury in to make a decision. The thought process is, should I make the decision for myself or should I leave it to 8 men and women or 12 men and women? I'm either going to take the plea or I'm going to leave it in their hands. It works, and a lot of our cases resolve because of that.
And our goal is, of course, to resolve cases in a fair and efficient manner. So just again, the mere presence of jurors being here is such an important part of our justice system, not only here in Cuyahoga County, but the state of Ohio.
The civic duty, I think you should do it, and it's an honor to do it. And I think everyone that's called to jury duty ought to serve that jury duty.
I believe my services are appreciated, even if you're not called. You have to do your time. I hope I get called for trial.
But sometimes there has been a decision by one or both parties in the case, and it cannot be settled without a jury, and that's where you come in. A call is made to the jury assembly area. A jury bailiff will call the names of the people picked for the next panel.
Please listen, we are calling a new panel. Please listen for your name. If you hear your name, please come to the front desk.
A short orientation is given by a bailiff telling them that they will be serving in a particular courtroom and who the presiding judge will be.
Okay, jurors, you've been called to the courtroom of Judge Michael Russo. He is on the 17th floor.
And they are then escorted to the specific floor where the trial is taking place. You might also be escorted to the old courthouse across the street if a civil case is heard by a visiting judge. Once the prospective jurors are settled in the courtroom, the judge ordinarily identifies all participants in the trial, which include the bailiff, court reporter, plaintiff's counsel, defense counsel, and the litigants. Then the voir dire process, which is the choosing of the jury, begins. This is a time-tested procedure which permits the court and the attorneys to question potential jurors in order to qualify them.
The judge tells you that you can't look at it from a 60-40 aspect. Are you going to have difficulty? Do you feel that you'll have difficulty looking at it that way?
You follow the law.
It's also one of the most misunderstood parts of jury duty. During the voir dire process, jurors sometimes feel the questions from attorneys are too personal, at times even insulting. But each attorney, both for the plaintiff and for the defendant, seeks to pick jurors that will give their respective clients the best hearing. And that's why they ask probing questions, trying to reveal areas that will give them a clue as to whether the juror can be fair and impartial, setting aside any bias or prejudice for the parties, the case, or potential witnesses.
Well, voir dire is literally a combination of two French words. Voir means to see or to view, dire means to speak, and it's the conversation that the court and the parties will have with the prospective jurors in order to determine what their life experiences might be, if they can be fair-minded and open-minded in the deliberations. And it gives the parties enough information to make good decisions about how to exercise their challenges.
It's important for juries to be impartial because if you're the defendant, you want people who are not biased towards you. You want clear minds. So if you were that person, you would want like a fair shot for justice.
We're all in a position that we could be on the other end of being a juror. And I would want someone to be fair with me, so I would want to be fair with them.
Each attorney gets 3 challenges in a civil trial and 4 in a criminal trial. That means an attorney can reject a juror who's already been accepted by the other attorney. It's a tough process, but it's essential that a jury be made up of people who will give a fair and impartial hearing to each side of the case. If a juror is rejected for any reason, that person goes back to the jury room to await another call for another case. But don't take the rejection personally. It's just the way the system works for all parties.
You get in a courtroom and you have to answer, certain questions, and sometimes those answers are a little personal, and they're really probing to get information to really pick the best jury. But it's something you've got to go through.
The panelists selected are sworn in. 8 jurors are chosen for a civil trial and 12 for a criminal trial, not counting the alternates. Alternates are chosen in the event that a juror has to be excused during the trial. Lanyard badges are issued to all potential jurors. They must be worn in the building at all times. They indicate to everyone that they cannot talk about cases in front of the jurors, nor can anyone ask them questions about a case or in any way try to influence them. There have been instances where jurors eating lunch have overheard attorneys making comments about cases. So jurors and their lanyards must be seen and given due respect. Once a jury is selected, it doesn't mean that trial is going to be completed or that it's going to flow smoothly. This is not a television drama. It's a real-life situation, and there are a lot of issues going on during the trial. At the start of every trial, each side makes an opening statement. First, the plaintiff's attorney, then the defendant's. During the trial, the jury may be shown evidence such as pictures, clothing, weapons, maps of accidents, or they might have to watch videotaped depositions so the jurors can hear from experts who are unable to make it to the trial. As a juror, you are the focal point of every trial. The lawyers will present their cases to you, but you won't be able to hear everything. When certain points of law or procedure are in question, sidebar conferences are held outside of the hearing of the jury, with only the court reporter present for the record. There are times when lawyers have to make motions. Those are requests for orders from the court for a ruling. Only the judge can address legal questions, which are often complicated. As these arise, the jury could be excused from the courtroom. It's not an attempt to conceal anything from you. It's another procedure that's been developed over hundreds of years and builds fairness into the trial process. Sometimes we'll be halfway through a trial and the litigants will decide they'd better talk more seriously about resolving the case. Again, the mere presence of the jury, even if you're not in the room, is an important factor. Witnesses are called to testify. They can be subjected to cross-examination and sometimes rebuttal evidence is given. At all times, the members of the jury have to pay attention.
You always want the jury to personally consider their involvement in the case only because you want people to know that this is the most serious kind of situation they can be involved in. Everybody has to listen, everybody has to participate.
Well, we're making such crucial decisions about life, liberty, and property here that we need fair-minded and good citizens to be able to participate. The judge presents the law, and the jury then makes the decisions of fact. So people who are involved in the system need to know that they have been treated fairly and intelligently.
In certain cases, judges may allow for note-taking. You cannot take notes unless the judge says that's all right. It isn't easy to absorb all the information, but a fair trial depends on your full and complete attention. Once in the courtroom, remember that the communication bridge between you and the judge are the bailiffs. For any special needs, or if you're having any sort of problem, please bring this to the bailiff's attention. Another thing to remember, you cannot discuss the case with anyone, including other jurors, until the trial is done or you are in deliberations. You'll be asked to avoid any coverage of the case, including TV, radio, print, and social media comments. At the end of the trial, each side gives closing arguments. This allows the attorneys to give the jury an overall picture of the case from their client's viewpoint. Then the judge gives instructions as to the law. Listen carefully to what the judge has to say. After the final instructions, you'll go to the jury room to deliberate, decide the facts based on the evidence presented, and to apply the law as instructed by the judge. Before you begin, you'll elect a foreperson who sees that the decision-making process goes as smoothly and as quickly as possible.
I think that Jarvis would make a really good foreperson, and he would be able to lead us in our discussion.
I agree.
What do you think?
I agree. I agree.
Evidence is considered and discussed during the deliberation process.
Not convinced.
I wish it was not.
I'm not
It's
convinced.
obvious.
No.
It's obvious.
It's plain as day.
If there are questions about the points of law, the jury can seek clarification from the court if necessary. Once the jurors have considered all the evidence and applied the law to their findings, a vote is taken. There could be more discussion and votes taken before a verdict is reached. It takes 3/4 or more of a jury in a civil trial and a unanimous verdict in a criminal trial before a jury goes back into the courtroom.
And if the foreperson could hand me the verdict form, please. Thank you. And be seated, please.
The judge may poll the jury to make certain each juror is in agreement and the verdict is a true one.
Juror number 10, is this your verdict?
Yes, ma'am.
Juror number 11, is this your verdict, sir?
Yes, Your Honor.
And juror number 12, is this your verdict?
Yes.
All right. The court thanks the jury for their service. All rise for the jury. Okay, you're excused to the back.
The jury is then discharged. You'll report back to the jury assembly room for further instructions or discharge. On the average, our jurors serve 3 days, but you could serve more or less. You are not required to speak with any member of the media or lawyers. It's your own personal choice if you want to talk, but you are under no obligation to speak with anyone concerning your jury duty. Checks covering your daily fee as jurors will be mailed to your home. Some people feel the amount paid to jurors is too small, but you have to remember the fee comes from your tax dollars. We also hope you take home valuable memories and maybe even a new friend or two.
You get to know new people here and from different walks of life.
Basically, you can do whatever you want, meet some new friends. You're able to be social. You can do some work if you have it on your computer or do some writing, reading, whatever you like. So they give you plenty of options in here. So
As judges, you're always grateful for the services of a jury because without them, the system would not be able to operate. We need them to make final decisions. We need them to come in with their unbiased minds and without prejudice and make decisions that are legal and decisions that are binding.
We hope you understand how vital your contribution is to the American way of life. Without your participation, our judicial process could not function as the fair and impartial system it's recognized to be. You may have moments of frustration, you may be separated from family and friends and your jobs, but we hope you get a better understanding and appreciation of how democracy works.
This is the only place where every day government turns over power to the community. And we ask them to make really important decisions that have a large impact, not only on the people who come before us as litigants, but also on the community in general. Because every time jurors decide something, they set a tone for behavior in the community, and they make a difference in how the community behaves.
Serving our country in the armed forces, and what an honor that is. Serve our country by voting. In many countries you don't have the ability to vote. And then serving our country as jurors. I'm saying thank you to them for being here and being a juror for us.
Thank you so much for coming in. Thank you so much for your service. And I certainly hope that as you leave, that you'll have a more fond appreciation for juries, what they do, how they serve, and how they serve the community at large.
I would like to take this opportunity to thank all of our jurors. We appreciate how inconvenient jury service might be on occasion. Please know that your presence here allows for the justice system to work. You should be very proud and very honored for taking part in this entire process.
So that's what's ahead of you. The court system sincerely thanks you for your service. And please remember a few things. Be on time every day and do not discuss your case while a trial is underway. If you have any questions, ask your bailiff. Try to enjoy downtown Cleveland while you're here. Bring something to occupy your time while waiting for a call to sit on a jury. Unfortunately, the county budget doesn't allow us to provide parking for you, but there are lots of varying prices within a few blocks of the Justice Center. We also encourage our jurors to take advantage of RTA's extensive network of buses and rapid trains. They'll even help you plan your trip downtown. Lunch times can vary depending on the courtroom. You're free to bring your own lunch or go out to eat. If assigned a case, the 4th Floor Cafe is probably your best choice. Otherwise, you may want to visit a restaurant close to the Justice Center. Above all, the one thing we want you to remember is that you are one of the most important elements in our democracy.